History of my oldest ancestors of whom I am very proud descend. December 19th, 1154. Henry Plantagenet, my 28th grandfather, 3 times my grandfather, Duke of Normandy, Count of Anjou, Count of Maine, Count of Nantes, Duke of Aquitaine, is crowned King of England under the name Henry II. He was the father of Richard Lionheart and John Landless, Kings of England, and great-grandfather of Dom Afonso III, my 25th and 26th grandfather, and Dom Sancho II, Kings of Portugal. Henry II, King of England, Duke of Normandy, Count of Anjou, Count of Maine, Count of Nantes, Duke of Aquitaine, was born at Le Mans on March 4, 1133, and died at Chinon on July 6, 1189, was the son of Geoffrey V Plantagenet, Earl of Anjou, and Matilda, Queen of England, paternal grandson of Fulco V, Earl of Anjou, King of Jerusalem, and Ermengarda de Beaugency, Countess of Maine, and maternal grandson of Henry I, King of England, and Matilda of Scotland, Princess of Scotland, daughter of St. Margaret, Queen of Scots, and of Malcolm III, King of Scotland. Henry II, or Henry Plantagenet, was King of England from 1154 until his death and patriarch of the Plantagenet dynasty. He was also Count of Anjou, Count of Maine, Duke of Normandy, Duke of Aquitaine, Count of Nantes, and Lord of Ireland. At various times he also controlled Wales, Scotland, and Brittany. He was the son of Geoffrey V, Earl of Anjou, and Matilda of England, daughter of King Henry I of England. Henry II became involved, at the age of 14, in his mother's efforts to claim the English throne occupied by Estevao de Blois. Henry was made Duke of Normandy and inherited Anjou in 1151, shortly afterwards marrying Eleanor of Aquitaine, whose marriage to King Louis VII of France, my 29th grandfather, twice my grandfather, had been annulled. Stephen agreed to a peace treaty after Henry's expedition to England in 1153. Stephen died the following year and Henry ascended the throne. Henry was an energetic and sometimes ruthless ruler, motivated by a desire to restore his grandfather's lands and privileges. During his first years of reign, he restored the royal administration, re-established hegemony over Wales, and achieved full control of his lands in Anjou, Maine, and Touraine. Henry's desire to reform his relationship with the Catholic Church led to conflict with his former friend Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury. This controversy lasted for much of the 1160s and resulted in Becket's death in 1170. Soon after, conflict began with Louis VII, and the two kings fought, for decades, what was called the Cold War. Henry expanded his empire, often at Louis' expense, taking Brittany and heading south to Toulouse. Despite several peace conferences and treaties, no lasting agreement has been reached. By 1172 he controlled England, much of Wales, the eastern half of Ireland, and the western half of France, an area that was later called the Angevin Empire. Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine had 8 children. As they grew, tensions began to appear over the future inheritance of the empire, encouraged by Louis VII, King of France, Eleanor of Aquitaine's first marriage, and his son Philip II. His heir apparent Henry the Younger rebelled in protest in 1173, and was supported by his brothers Richard and Geoffrey and his mother. France, Scotland, Flanders, and Boulogne allied with the rebels. The revolt was defeated through vigorous military action and the talent of local commanders, many of whom were new men appointed for their loyalty and administrative skills. Henry the Younger and Geoffrey rebelled once more in 1183, resulting in the former's death. The Norman invasion of Ireland gave land to his youngest son John. However, the king struggled to find ways to satisfy his son's desires for land and immediate power. Philip managed to influence Richard, and Henry would make John his successor, with a last rebellion beginning in 1189. Defeated by the French king and his son, and also suffering from a peptic ulcer, Henry retreated to Chinon, in Anjou, where he died on the 6th of July from 1189. His empire quickly collapsed during the reign of John Landless, and Richard Lionheart succeeded him. Meanwhile, many of the changes that Henry had introduced in his long reign had lasting consequences. His legal changes are generally considered to have created the foundations of English common law, while his intervention in Britain, Wales, and Scotland shaped the development of their societies and systems of government. Historical interpretations of Henry's reign have changed considerably over time. 18th century scholars asserted that the king was a driving force in the creation of a genuinely English monarchy and, in the end, a united Britain. During the Victorian expansion of the British Empire, historians were very interested in the formation of Henry's empire. However, they showed reservations about his private life and the Becket case. Family and descent. Henry II, King of England, and Eleanor of Aquitaine, my 28th grandmother, 3 times my grandmother, had 8 children. William of England, Count of Poitiers. Henry, Rex Filius, of England, married to Margaret, Princess of France. Matilda, Princess of England, married Henry XII the Lion, Duke of Bavaria. Richard the Lionheart, King of England, married Berengaria, Infanta of Navarre, no descendants. Geoffrey Plantagenet, Duke of Brittany, married Constance de Penthièvre, Duchess of Brittany. Leonor Plantagenet, Princess of England, Queen Consort of Castile, married to Alfonso VIII, King of Castile, my 27th grandparents, twice my grandparents. Joan, Princess of England, married William II, King of Sicily, and later married Raymond VI, Count of Toulouse. John Landless, King of England, married Isabella of Gloucester and later married Isabella d'Anguleme,